said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Be water, my friend.
Hi guys, I'm here with Mark Verstegen at the Functional Training Summit in Munich. And Mark, it's great to meet you because I'm a big admirer, and you work with like so many people that I follow, you know, in sports. And but at the same time, you do so many different things. You've worked with the German national team, soccer team, with the NFL, with NBA players, with Olympic athletes. So when people ask you, what is it that you actually do? How do you respond?
Well, first of all, I'm deeply appreciative of you being a great barista, because this is a great coffee.
Oh, thank you.
With my MCTs and my butter.
That's a bulletproof style coffee with our flow-grade coffee beans and MCT oil and butter. And now you have the extra protein bar as well.
And after the presentation, I'm perfect. Sorry. Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's just practicing what we preach, right? And at EXOS, we exist to help understand and upgrade lives. And we do that by creating game plans with individualized X's and O's, and being able to do that across the 4 pillars of sustainable high performance, right? It's about mindset, it's about nutrition, it's about movement, it's about recovery. And it doesn't matter what you deem your passion or your profession. If you don't have those 4 ingredients, you can't have high performance, let alone sustainable high performance. You'll crash over time. So personally, I try to practice exactly what we preach across our skill sets. And you know, when we look at what we all really do, we're all in the field of behavioral upgrading, not behavioral change, but behavioral upgrading. And really training and viewing training not as, you know, like type stuff, right, which is important, but really training as a concept of building skill sets, which I know you're passionate about, and many of the people you've had on your show are passionate about. And I think that's really what we try to do. And I love that continuous improvement. And from the first thought that goes through my head in the morning to the last one that goes through at night, try to have this nice, repeatable, sustainable high performance, even though my world is a bit chaotic from the travel and everything else, like many of the people on your show.
Right, and I come from that field of biohacking.
Yeah.
So it's related, but it's very nichey, and they try out a lot of things that are based on, I'd say, self-experiments.
Sure.
N equals 1. Do you do that? Do you self-experiment on yourself as well?
Yes, and you can see I have failed a lot on my self-experiments.
Right, and out of that have come actually many of the methods that you propose.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, at the end of the day, if I practice what I preach, I think it's always about upgrading your systems. Yeah, over time, like, I'm always very open-minded, growth-minded. That's why I enjoy a lot of people that have been on your show. From, obviously, I love, you know, Kelly, and we were just talking about Ben Greenfield.
Right,
and
he was on there too.
People. Yeah, I mean, great people, right? And plus, just wonderful to share the knowledge. But yeah, I mean, I'm always testing and trying, and at the same time, I believe in doing simple things savagely well. And they now may be considered biohacks, but your fueling and timing and nutrient quality densities and all these things have been things that we've been practicing and working on. I didn't consider it hacking. I considered it as this is the, you know, EXOS, like this human operating system. Mm-hmm. And if we wanted to help people who are already really good at what they do get better at what they do, at the same time also having not just a high ROI to performance, but a reduction of injury, those are the types of things where you have to have these quote-unquote hacks. But I really just view them as methods, but also skill sets that you must have if you want to be at the top of your game.
Right.
That's why we exist.
So how did you get there where you are right now? What sport were you into when you were young?
Well, I was really fortunate, right? We all have interacted with great coaches, great educators. My dad was a high school principal. My mom was a teacher. We were into athletics so long as we were good in academics. But really, I was an American football player. Also did track and field, basketball, which I know you're passionate about. I wasn't very good. We were good, state champion level, but I was the president of the NBWA, the National Benchwarmers Association, the 6-man guy. But yeah, I was an American football player, played at university, had a career-ending injury, actually. And that's actually what really turned me on. I was already turned on to the field, studying exercise science and nutrition, sport nutrition, which was new at the time. But after my career-ending injury, I really started to say that my role was this as an undergrad. I was working 40 to 50 hours a week in reconditioning, bridging the gap between the rehab and the PTs and the athletic trainers to the technical tactical, and really blending that through everything from the reconditioning to the performance training to get them back on the field in a high way. And that's really what kind of turned me on, and everything I did was always about fulfilling our responsibility to the athlete, right? Or the person living inside the body who just wanted to be better. That's the common red thread, that behavioral trait.
Okay, wow. And so you're actually from the football, let's say, area, and then you moved over and then you...
But I mean, one of the greatest influences, Max, for me was when I was doing my rehab from cutting the nerve to my left arm, was Jan Johansson, who was finishing his PhD in statistics, and another one who was a Swedish javelin thrower. It was a way to totally think differently about how we're training and movement and sustainable high performance, and that was really just a massive influence on me, as well as other mentors. But also then this quest to fulfill the responsibility for a client. There is no one-dimensional solution. You can't just get somebody strong or get somebody powerful, or hey, there's a flexibility guy, or here's all these 25 or 30 different things. It was about how do we best organize this to allow a high performer to step in to a high definition world, into a conducive culture of this open growth mindedness that treats them, which you just talked about, as an N of one, and seek to understand. They're already good at what they do. How do we seek to understand? Tell me what your first thought is in the morning. Tell me your morning ritual. Go through your day. Let us seek to understand, and then say, hey, Max, you're already doing a lot of really good things, but there might be an opportunity across this mindset piece, or hey, would you mind meeting with our fueling person around this nutritional piece? And you're like, yeah, cool. But I don't want to come in and say, hey, Max, I want to change you. I want to say, hey, what's going on? You're already having success. We're here to help, like AMG, right? We're here to tune you to do exactly what you're ready to go do, and do it in the most high definition, efficient way.
I think, it reminds me a lot of Tony Robbins for maybe the body. I know Tony Robbins also works with athletes, but
sure.
It seems like your concept is also very, very holistic.
Oh,
and
sure.
I would like to know, though, when you meet an athlete for the first time, what is your process? How do you go about it from the get-go?
Yeah. Well, number one, realizing you just mentioned athlete. Number one is I'm more concerned about the person living inside the body, where they're currently at in life, and what they're passionate about right now, because you assume because they're a professional footballer, playing for the DFB, and it isn't. That's a part of their world, I hope. I hope it's a part they're passionate about and they want to be great at, but I also want to understand who you are and what's important to you, and how you've got here. From that, we'll then also do evaluation across mindset, nutrition, movement, recovery, and that's our PQ, our performance quotient. And that's really how EXOS views the world with all its clients. Where are you across mindset, nutrition, movement, and recovery? What are the 4 or 5 sub-qualities that are specific to you and your profession or what you are passionate about? How do we measure those? And then what is your game plan coming from that in a prioritized way that we can start immediately that will give you the greatest effect? Because we have some people who will set a helicopter down for 6 hours of a window for us to help them, and there's other people that will move and we have them as clients for 15 years.
Wow.
So it's just a matter of, it always starts with seeking to understand. And after that, then we're going to be very precise on creating their game plan in what we call their performance day, from when they wake up to when they go to bed.
Wow.
And an athlete standpoint, there's the off-season plan, because that looks different. There's the preseason plan, because that looks different. There's the in-season plan at home. There's the in-season plan away, and then there's all the strategies that kind of go in and around that, right? In the recovery and sleep and travel strategies and all that stuff. And we do that with individuals, but we also do it with leagues, and we do it with teams and groups of people.
Now I'd like to know from you, because actually it's funny, because Mark knows my uncle, Jürgen Montag, who used to be the physiotherapist for the German national team when I mentioned
Legendary,
him to you.
Yes.
And he was a partner of Dr. Bille Wohlfahrt, which
yes.
you know very well. But my question would be now, because I played college basketball in the States for 4 years. I was at Boston University,
Yes.
and I came across, our trainer also was very, very much into functional fitness. And back then there was no CrossFit, so I graduated in 2008.
And you said BU, Boston University.
Yeah.
Who was your coach?
Well, Glenn Davis was our strength coach, and our
I know
coach
Glenn
was
well.
Coach Wolf. Dennis Wolf was the head basketball coach.
I know Glenn well. Glenn was an understudy of Michael Boyle, who, if you can tell by hair color, not hair in general with Michael, we go back 20-some years.
Oh, really? Oh, that's super cool. Yeah. I love Glenn. And he introduced me to this whole functional fitness. And over there, I also came across then guys like you, Ben Greenfield, Dave Asprey. And I was sort of then, my idea here, because I didn't find it here, that was the start of Flowgrade. I wanted to bring it here. But why do you think that in the US there's so much more happening in this field and not so much over here? Or how do you see that?
Well, I would look at it, and EXOS is a global organization. Right, we're now in 26 countries. We have over 400 sites and over 4,000 employees, teammates at EXOS. And so we have a really unique perspective of the world and bringing in global best practices. I think in the US, there's some things that are really advanced and there's some things that are really backwards. And I think part of it is that there is, and this is getting at it, what held the US back for so long was too much testosterone and too much ego, and my wife would call ego-testicle, right? Like, so you start to look at that and say, that's part of what held us back, and it would be, you know, strength conditioning would be all about Olympic lifting or high intensity training. And there's a whole group of us that said, hey, it has nothing to do with it. It has, how do we help Max become a better basketball player? And there's so much of that conversation that helps make you better. Not just what happens on the court, not just what happens inside a training center, but like, how is Max doing Max, and how do we optimize Max to do better? And I think that's where we started to gain some momentum. We have a good freedom to do things. If you have success, people seek out those who are having success. I think our initial launch of Athletes Performance in 1999, which is still the same organization, company, rebranded under EXOS, was really about the seamless integration, providing the finest performance systems specialist and the platforms seamlessly integrated to efficiently and ethically enhance our athletes' performance. And we opened our doors open source to collegiate and to professional teams and everybody to come in. And I think it was both a cultural component. I think Perform Betters have been great as a cultural component to bring a lot of great people together that are open and sharing. Great job. Right. And Chris Poirier did a great job, and it was also the culture he created of the openness and the collaborative nature and the people he brought in that started to create a different flow for us in the industry, which I think ultimately started to produce more results, started to drive better research. And now you wouldn't see an elite or professional team like BU or others that don't have full-on sports science, as we call it now, it's a very hot term, across mindset, nutrition, movement, recovery, if they're doing a great job. Also, like at EXOS, we have the Performance Innovation Team, the PIT. And our PIT is now about 65 people strong. Design and development, research analytics, education, methodology, mindset, nutrition, movement, recovery leads together, solving, along with our technology and product team, how all that comes together and manifests. And I think that's where you see a lot of things where technology, understanding data, data philosophies, and then being able to take, as your earlier question, the evaluative data, the daily monitoring data, outside of the practice data to ultimately understand like kind of what this overall load is going to be, and then ultimately how we drive that to performance outcomes and that formula. So I think that's kind of the fun thing that you see. It's happening fast, and because the world is flat, like you mentioned, German national team, we have another 20 professional soccer teams globally, just in the world of soccer. And I think that stuff gets out there fast because it gives a competitive advantage. At first, you know, it was about, hey, I have a great skill set, technically, tactically. And then it was kind of all of a sudden it was, well, maybe you're fit or not fit. But all of a sudden, like even back to 2004 here in Germany, 2005, Jürgen Klinsmann, Yogi, they brought us in. It was a big uphill climb, but it was not just change the performance of the team, but how do we change the culture of all those doing it? And now I think you see through the building the relationships with so many talented and great people in all these global organizations leading the performance in the Bundesliga and the Premier League, the rest, there's a knowledge sharing, both we were learning, they were learning, and now you see this level of fitness as this unbelievably high level of fitness has changed the game in the last decade, and it's amazing the quality of football. But now, great technical, tactical, you know, great conditioning and physical, the things that we can control, and now the game is changing like last night. It's not always fair.
And I just want to mention, because Mark told me that before the recording, that you started as a startup with your wife in the 90s, and he built it up into a multinational company with over 4,000 people involved. And it's just making a lot of athletes more powerful, more healthy.
It's totally fun.
And it's amazing what you do. Let me ask you a couple more fun questions, actually, because I'd be interested. As a basketball fan, what's your favorite team?
Oh, wow. I mean, I think it changes because the league changes. With free agency now, you can say you love a team, but that team could be completely different just in 2 years. I mean, look at the Houston Rockets, how the dynamic nature of how they've changed.
Did you hear about Durant going to the Warriors?
Yes, right, and I think Barkley came back and said, hey, now guys are just leaving to, essentially they're manipulating and buying a championship.
Right.
But listen, at the end of the day, that's always been professional sport. I'm always for a free market and for the athletes. If they can go do that, then great. Like, they have financial success, but they're playing for a different reason.
Right.
Golden State was a fun team to watch, a game-changing. What Steph Curry has done to redefine what's possible in the game was just a fun thing to witness.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely fun thing to witness. And you can go to the flip side on the Cavs and the rest of that, but I'd have to say probably the last few years, Golden State, just to witness somebody taking in such an established sport that's already played at such a high level and then redefining it. And then also what Steve Kerr's been able to do with that culture, all the way into when he stepped down to Walton stepping up and subbing in as a coach, but not missing a beat. Like, this is the essence of team to me. And that's a part that inspires me with that level of play. It's just great to watch.
Yeah, it's super fun. Actually, what does I've read that you worked with Kevin Love now more closely.
Back in the day, and all the way back to Kobe Bryant. Somebody just asked the other day, like, Kobe coming out of high school brought his coaching team down back when I was in Bradenton, Florida, when I created the International Performance Institute. And I remember Kobe as 17, 18-year-old kid, and establishing a very professional way to have his training and physio and all those types of things integrated, nutrition, and he did that very early in his career. And I still remember at dinner at our house, and I want to say he asked for a Shirley Temple to drink, right? It was like, it's funny, it was just a 7-Up with like a splash of a cherry juice in it or something with the cherry, right? Like kids drinks, like that's what I just made my kids, our nieces and nephews. So yeah, anyway, it's just pretty funny, right? So yeah, basketball is great sport. Like herding cats though, a little bit like herding cats.
Wow. Mark, I could sit here for hours and talk to you because I have so many questions on my mind about nutrition and fitness and whatever, but I think you have to either make another workshop.
Yeah, we have to go back to work, yeah.
So, maybe a couple more questions to wrap it up. One thing is, which is actionable for the listeners as well, how do the first 90 minutes of your day look like?
That's a great question. Even on the road and at home, I try to keep it as consistent as possible. So the first thing, and I'm just have to think about it because it is running in my non-conscious with the other 90% of my daily actions. Before I even open my eyes, I try to give thanks. I am so appreciative for the people and the love and all the good things in life. I really try to just focus on that. It gives me a great feeling, this vision of my beautiful wife, my dogs, my life. I love my life. I love my wife. Like this is a special day. And then from that flash will go, what's the intent of my day today? And sometimes I start with my father-in-law once said, because he is a cancer survivor and in remission, I always talk about perfect days. In fact, that's even how we built our performance days. We called them perfect days. If you can nail this one, you're gonna nail the process, you're gonna nail your goal. So our perfect day for a perfect day is the first thing that runs through my day, my mind. And from that, it's going to be, all right, here's what's going to happen this next X minutes. That's what's going to happen when I intent for the day, interaction with people and being the positive effect on that. And then I'm going to do this, and that's how my day is going to roll, like setting the GPS coordinates. At least it gives me an intent. I can control this first 90 minutes. Usually the last 90 minutes and in between is a bit of a shit sandwich.
Okay.
Right? Always just dealing with the dynamics of the day and our organization. So then after that, I'm going to wake up, get up. I'm going to hydrate right away. I always leave water immediately next to my sink. Same time I drink my water. Have a couple of my empty stomach supplements. Roll out my tissue as well from the foot doing that. To jumping in, I have my master bedroom set up in a work side and a rest side. The work side has like a little performance center on that deal. So I'll go in and do all my soft tissue work, power plate, foam roll, some of Kelly's stuff. Maybe it only takes 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and then I'll go out and I'll fuel. We have our EXOS fuel as well. So I'll go through the fish oils, digestives, our whey protein with a scoop of greens and multi-purpose fiber, flaxseed oil, high lignin type work with that. Maybe a little tyrosine depending on how the thing's going on my blood work panel. Pound that.
All up, don't worry.
Yeah. But you just kind of get that one up and do that just because it's also quiet, easier than using our blend tech and waking up the house. And from that, a lot of times I'll take my dogs out on a walk, and that's kind of my moving meditation. Come back and enjoy that, and then I usually get a training session in while I can control it. And as I just showed you, like we have every house that we have, we set up our own performance center and
Super
just do
cool.
it. Yeah,
some photos, it looks amazing.
Fun, right?
Yeah.
And then from that only might be 25 to 45, 50 minutes, and then it's, shower. I love cold immersion, but that's not going to happen during the workday. Off to work, have an amazing group when we go to work. Great leadership team, but also great culinary team. So they're making everything's fresh, it's organic, it's free range, it's all that, and they do an amazing job. So I always feel lucky in that. Have some of the, go visit China, bring back my Chinese tea, all the different things we have there. Great fueling, great snacks, go home, a lovely wife and dogs, and might listen to something like this or get a great night's sleep. Sleep rituals, everything, right? Blackout, chill out, get all the technology out of it, just like we always talk about. And then from that, hot shower to increase the core temperature to wrap up so your body delays its onset of when it's going to start to it works so hard at cooling the body down. It takes more time to cool it down, which then delays the effect of where it starts to heat back up, which then raises back up the core temperature, which ultimately stimulates your wake up time. So I'm always about that continuous length of sleep. Mm-hmm. Even in this all the international travel stuff that I do, it's like, hey, listen, if I'm a 7-hour sleeper, I'm a 7-hour sleeper every time. So it doesn't matter whether you're up for 32 hours and then get your 7, but you just kind of work the strategies. So perfect days are perfect days, as dynamic as they are, right? Same things that we talk about on your show all the time.
Yeah. Oh, and we have so much to learn from you, and I'm excited to actually listen to it again and then type it up. And for the last question, I'd like to know though, what is one thing, now I think people can learn so much from you, but what is one thing, if they could only remember one thing from you right now, what is the message you would provide? It could be just one phrase or...
Yeah, that one's always tough, but I would say make a positive impact on others through your own actions and how you're leading your life, and do what you can to serve others and help elevate theirs. But don't do that without seeking to understand first.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, now where can people find you? If they want to find out more about you, where would you direct them?
Yep, teamexos.com, teamexos.com. And again, that'll be relaunched in October. But it's a good starting point. Like I said, we do a lot of different things, so that would be a good starting point.
Fantastic, Mark. Thanks to Perform Better for setting this up. This is amazing. I love the summit as well, and it was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you very much, Max. Honored to meet you as well.
Same here.
Thank you.
Bye.